this peace symposium that we have every year here, and all the work that the Ahmadiyya community do in the meantime, much of which many people may not be aware of, but right now, as Mr. President explained, there's a whole advertising campaign on London buses going on to tell people about what the community is doing. They're actually knocking on doors and talking to people who may never get a chance to come to an event like the one we're at tonight, about what the Ahmadiyya community means and why it's so important. And I think breaking down those barriers is absolutely vital, and I think it does have to happen not just at the national level, but also at the local level. And I really pay tribute to the work that the community does, and also internationally with its wonderful charity Humanity First. And I was honoured to be able to support one of the fundraising events that was held for Humanity First only a couple of weeks ago. And although we live in many respects a secular society, faith is absolutely crucial, because if we are going to achieve peace, not just in many parts of the world that are war-torn, but actually on a day-to-day basis, then I think it's not about actually changing people's heads, it's about changing their hearts. And I think if you want to change people's hearts, then the role of religion and faith is absolutely fundamental to doing that. And I think that the common threads that run through all of our great religions are ones that are fundamental in allowing us to stay together as one community and to live together as one community, and more importantly to grow together as a single community. So I wish you all well tonight.
Your Holiness, ladies and gentlemen, whenever I come to an event in this mosque or at the London Mosque in Southfields, I immediately feel, as I'm sure all of you do this evening, I am at home with very, very dear friends. We've already heard from previous speakers, this community is not only committed to its religious beliefs, it's also committed to its involvement in a whole range of issues, not only in this country, but in countries throughout the world, for the benefit of men and women and their families. And that is why I am so very honoured and proud to have had an association with the community of over 40 years. And the thing that struck me so much, and the saying of this community, love for all, hatred for none, is what we heard time and time again from these people. They were not bitter. And I have to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I tried to imagine how I would have responded if someone in my family had been brutally murdered, if someone in my family had been put in prison for years and years without any recourse to real justice. And that is why I am so proud and honoured to have such close relations with this community.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness, Mr. President and guests. I'm a great admirer of Islam and of the Ahmadiyyan community in particular. It seems to me that they set us all a very good example in charitable work and in voluntary work, and above all, a very good example of tolerance and respect for one another. And we should never let a minority of extremists obscure the fact that Islam, and the Ahmadiyyas in particular, are very tolerant. And although we greatly value the contribution the Ahmadiyya community make here and welcome all those who come here, we do hope that those who live in Pakistan can live in peace and harmony with the respect of their neighbours. Thank you.
Your Holiness, Mr. President, distinguished guest, Assalamu alaikum. It is a great honour to be invited to speak here again so soon after speaking at your Jalsa Salana last year. The size of that event, I think, demonstrated the scope and extent of your religion and the strength of your community, not just here but around the world. It's also an honour to be invited to speak at your peace symposium today, and there is no doubt that your message of peace is one that needs to be heard around the world, and indeed the universal values that you espouse as well.
It's a very great privilege to be able to come and speak at an event like this and to join fellow members of Parliament from South London, all of whom have a very real sense of understanding as to what this community really does in terms of its success within South London society and within the South London economy. We all have a responsibility to pursue those aims of loyalty and equality, of respect within society. The right way to go about it, as this community is so intent on doing, is it is only by having love for all and not having hatred that's the best way forward for the future happiness of humanity as a whole. Thank you.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, Mr. President, it's a great pleasure to be back again here for another great event and for this peace symposium. I'm very conscious that over the course of the last year, the Ahmadiyya community has been doing a lot of work through its local outreach in promoting exactly that. It's been a pleasure to be present at some events that you've had in my constituency, which have provided that very environment for people to meet and grow in understanding of each other and grow in understanding of Islam, as in the way that you have been going out to do this. What so impressed me about the Ahmadiyya community is not just your willingness to talk about these issues, but your willingness to go out and practice them, to involve yourselves in public life, to involve yourselves in political parties like my friend Tariq Ahmed here this evening, and to say that you want to participate, not just to stand on the sidelines and give a point of view or an opinion.